So yeah, just a quick disclaimer. I know that Hillary's email said this was for advanced Excel work. Based on what we covered last time, which is mostly like kind of like vocab and basic data entry, rather than just jumping straight to advanced, we're gonna probably keep it more like intermediate. Like advanced would probably be like pivot tables and macros, and we're not gonna be covering that today.
Totally fine.
You're welcome. Yeah, real quick, did everybody see my email that I sent earlier today where I attached a spreadsheet that I was hoping that everyone could open and kind of work alongside with me on? Just because, again, Excel, it's not like a programming language, but it is like the type of thing that you're not going to learn it unless you're doing it. And if I was just going through slides, that would benefit nobody. So real quick.
I did not see an email. Let me see. Let me just double check.
It's like a grocery store. Excel.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's like, yeah. It should have two tabs. One's gonna be like the analysis tab where we'll be inputting our kind of our work. And then one's gonna be a food sales tab that will contain the data that we'll be kind of analyzing. So real quick, everybody give me a thumbs up if you have that open. All right.
All right, Sonia, go find it. Did you?
Okay, so I go into the email.
Yeah, I'll forward it to you. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
It was at 3 p.m. today.
Then I will share my screen. Hillary, could you enable that for me?
You should be good now. Let me know if that works. Yeah.
You let me know if that works.
Yeah, now you're good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so real quick, again, as I mentioned before, this is the tab where we're gonna be doing all our work in. Don't click into the answers tab. I hit them, but not too well. But essentially, how we're gonna go about this is that I'm just gonna walk through a couple of functions that I think are pretty basic and good to know. Just kind of plant the seeds of like what Excel can do, just so that you can kind of know when to start looking for shortcuts. Because there are too many functions in Excel for me to ever cover in a presentation. But what is good to know is how to use Excel to solve problems and basically how to formulate the problem you're trying to solve so that you can literally just look it up in Google and it will give you the function you're looking for. That's how most programmers work, and that's kind of how it's going to work in Excel as well, where it's just important to be able to succinctly describe your problem and then find the function that Excel probably has that will help you solve it. So, real quick, if you were here last time, you might remember this table. This is the same data that we had last time. This is the column that we all worked together and completed. It was not a part of the original data set, so that was all us, good work team. And so just to save time, I just redid that work again. And so just wanted to kind of quickly go over this table, spend like a minute on it, just so you understand it, what it is as a whole before we kind of dig into it. So this means it's kind of a listing of orders. Looks like for some sort of like maybe snack supply or vending machine company. And with each order, it gives you the date it was ordered, the region and corresponding city that it was ordered by, the product that was ordered, and more specifically the product category that product falls into, how much of that product, how much each of that product costs. So in this case, like 1 carrot would be $1.77 for some reason. Maybe it's a carrot bar, maybe that's why. And then we put in this column that essentially tells you the revenue generated from that order, like how much that cost the person that was making that order. So, and then there's about like well over 200 of these, which is good. It's a good example of data that it's not even that large, but definitely not something that you want to be going through by hand to do anything. because A, that would take a lot of time, and then B, it's also just going to make things more error prone. If you can automate things with Excel, obviously everyone talks about the time saving, but honestly, just the accuracy. Even if something will take me the same amount of time to like write a function for it in Excel, I will oftentimes opt to just do it and do it with formulas, just to avoid any chance of errors affecting the results. But yeah, so let's go into it. Now that we've gone over the table, real quick, any questions about the table or like what's happening here or what it is?
Nope, sounds good.
All right. Okay, so we're just gonna go, we just have a couple of problems basically that I set up for us that we're gonna go through together. So we'll just dive right into it. First one is gonna be over here. So A2, I want everyone to write a formula that will return the biggest order from that table. I guess to be fair, this is the first one, so I'm going to do it with you guys. But I just want you to follow along on your screens. So in parentheses, I basically reworded what's being asked. Unfortunately, most people don't use the lingo of Excel, so you kind of have to like just reinterpret it. And so when I say biggest order, based on what we understand of the table, what I'm really asking for is what is the largest quantity, or more specifically, what is the max quantity? And the reason I use max, besides present company, is because it is a function in Excel. If you try to type in like largest or something, you won't see anything. The way to return the largest item in a list or data set is using a function that's just called max, which is hopefully somewhat intuitive. So to start off, we're going to click into this solution box, so B2, and we'll just click up here. And as we mentioned before, in order to write a formula, and that way, in order for Excel to recognize that something's a formula, you need to start off by putting an equal sign. From there on out, Excel or Sheets or whatever will kind of recognize that what you're doing now is not just writing text, but you're actually writing something for it to evaluate. And so what's also nice is that once you do that and you start typing in some stuff, it will kind of automatically try to match what you're typing to potential functions you're looking for. I just put in MA and already we can see that max, the function I was looking for, is popping up here. So I'll select that, I guess. And the second thing that's really nice is that even if you don't remember exactly how the function works, this, at least in Sheets, it's pretty good about it. It will kind of give you information about the function and more specifically, what you need to put in the function. This one's pretty straightforward. It just returns the maximum value in a numeric data set, which is just saying, select some cells and it will output the biggest one. So rather than overcomplicating it, that's what we're going to do. So we have equals max, and then this is like, maybe not the tricky part, but kind of the fun thing that you need to get used to. So we're going to click out of this function box, but don't worry, it kind of saves it. But in order to like capture, like to include data from another sheet, you need to go to that other sheet and actually select the data that you want to include. Actually, whoops, I accidentally. Okay, sorry, going back. Okay, sorry, yeah. Make sure you don't close the parentheses, I guess. So once you're there, there's two ways you can do this. You could literally like manually select like the entire data, like this. That takes a little bit long because it has to like scroll down the entire screen. Plus, since I'm sharing my screen, it's a little bit difficult to do that. But alternatively, you could just select the entire column because that's what we want. We just want to find the largest value in this column. And then all I have to do is just close that parentheses and there. You are technically still in the food sales tab, but the moment you press enter, it will take you back to the original tab and will complete with with the number that is calculated. And so, yeah, there you have it. Anyone have any issues with I guess doing that? Any speed bumps? Any questions?
So can you go back and show me again what you did? Was it were you multiplying, or was it did the selection only include the 306, which was like the number of units sold, right?
Yeah, so yeah, no multiplication. The only function that I'm using is max.
Okay,
And then yeah, max. Let's keep doing that.
and so then it goes down the list and picks out the biggest number, right?
Yep. And that big number is 306. So yeah, no other operations being performed.
Okay,
there.
thank you.
All right, okay, so now I'm gonna turn it to you guys for a very similar problem, but slightly different, just to make sure that you guys understood. I want you to find, so previously we found the biggest order. I want you to find the cheapest item. So the hint, 2 hints, that's gonna require a different function and a different column. So I'm gonna give you guys about, let's set a timer for, let's say 20 seconds. And then if you have any questions, though, definitely just ask me and I'll start answering them. Okay, no worries if you're not done already, but just to start checking in, we'll go to max. Have you found what function that we want to use in the situation?
Yes, but I'm actually kind of lost and I was trying to get it to work, but
Oh, no worries.
I assume it is min.
It is correct. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that right now. And then I guess you said that you were having some issues making it work. What did you have at this point? Maybe we can troubleshoot.
So I went to food sales. Do you mind doing it on
Yep.
first so I can see?
Yep.
And then I couldn't get the unit price to get on the other side.
Okay. Because I guess when you did this, did you see this function up here on the top still?
Let me see. No, I did not.
Okay. Did you make sure that you kind of left the parentheses open, that you only had the one parenthesis? You didn't close the function, correct?
Yeah, it's there. And then I went to the other one. And then the other one just says unit price.
Okay, so let's just walk through real quick, point by point. So min, we're not going to select it. We're just going to type in min and then that parentheses. Okay, you got that so far?
Yes.
Okay, and then when you go to food sales, do you still see that up here? You don't
No,
click. Okay. Did you click on any? Did you click on anything else? Did you press enter?
I clicked earlier. I clicked the H. So let me get out.
Okay.
Let me try that again. Yeah, when I switch over, it's blank.
Okay. In that case, actually, what we'll do is, do you want to share your screen?
I don't know how. I don't know how.
Here, there should be a, let me stop sharing. So there should be a green little arrow in the Zoom meeting.
There we go. All right. Are we shared?
Yep. Okay, perfect.
All right. So it was saying error earlier too, and I was trying to figure it out.
Okay.
So going in. equal min. Wait. Equal min.
And looks good.
That's gone.
That's right. Okay. Go back to the analysis tab. Okay, click into the function. And then go back to the food sales. Sonia, are you having the same issue?
And I am not, but I was using the sheets, not Excel downloaded.
So I
Just-
think Max, you're using this is Google
This is
Sheets as well,
Google.
right?
Yeah, this is a Google Sheets.
Okay. Okay, go back to analysis. Okay, also delete the that one. Just click on the delete, not backspace, but like delete. So okay, sorry, click out of it, Max. And then highlight those like 3 cells. And then I want you to press not the backspace function, but the delete button. It's a different one on your computer.
Yeah.
Okay, and then actually, can you just highlight all 3 of them real quick? And then just press delete instead of backspace. And then once you do that, I want you to try this again. I want to see if it's the same issue because I think there may. Real quick, sorry. Sorry, go back. Because sometimes Excel can be finicky. Click out. Make sure you're only like, highlighting one cell. All right, click into to the second one real quick. Yeah. One cell
Also
review.
delete.
And then yeah, click into the formula and do equals min again. If this doesn't work, then I might just have you just have to watch, which is not ideal, but
Ah, there we go.
okay. Sorry, yeah, sometimes Excel can be finicky. Sometimes it's best to just kind of click out and just press the delete button because it'll clear that entire cell. Okay, great. So now you're here. You want to click on that entire column, right? And so to do that, you're not actually going to click on the name of the column. You're actually going to click on the letter above it. And that will highlight now the entire column.
Okay.
And now all you have to do is just kind of close your function. And so the way you do that is by just adding that last parentheses and then pressing enter. And there you go.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Sonia, Keith, Hillary, is that the number you guys got?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
I got it.
Right.
Now let me
will
unshare.
I'll share my screen again. Okay, so
Thank you.
no worries. Sorry about that.
Yep.
Okay,
That
so
was
we're-
really good because I learned from his mistake.
yeah, it's also that's one of the annoying things is that when you just select data, it can be really finicky just because Excel then becomes super sensitive to what it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah, one time Logan and I spent like 2 hours trying to get this stupid report to work. And we changed it to like just on a different computer and worked perfectly fine. But then the moment we sent it back over, it didn't work. So it's annoying like that sometimes, but
Luckily, this was small enough that we could just restart, but you can always do that with Excel. And then yeah, at that point, it becomes a pain. Okay, and then quickly, we'll just this one together. So we're looking at A4 now, average sale. And so this one I put in there just so that we can kind of reinterpret it in our heads. So real quick, when you look at average, if we want to find the average sale from that data table, Max or Sonia, what column do you think that we'll end up having to use to calculate it?
Why don't you put that sheet back up? Okay. Well, I'm gonna took the total price.
And then Your ticket sale price, and then any guesses for what the name of this function might be?
Let's see, AVE.
I'm not sure, but I'm just gonna start putting an AB.
There's
and
an
then boom.
average. There's an
It
average
just is
there.
average. It's that easy.
Okay,
When I first did
average.
this, I actually was thinking maybe it would be mean.
I see the word average
So I
there.
tried that. It wasn't a thing. That's because it was actually just average. A lot of times you don't have to go to Google. You can usually just put in what you think it's going to be, and it will actually be that.
Okay,
So we're going to put an average, and then we'll select. We will select the column that we want to find the average of. Close the parentheses, and boom. All right.
boy, that sounds so easy.
And these ones are nice because it's one function and it's a function that takes in one argument. So
Mhm.
it's pretty straightforward for things like this. We're answering one question. And just real quick, make sure that we have this right. If you want to kind of check once you're done, just drop down, select yes, and it'll just have the answers appear. That's honestly my proudest work on the spreadsheet.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. I want to know more about how you did that.
To be fair, there's a lot that you can do with formatting, which is probably its own presentation. But yeah, I had some fun with this.
So I'm sorry, what is the difference between solution and answers? I mean, they're the same numbers, but
So they should be. The answers is just hopefully what you ended up getting.
no, but I'm saying by definition, a solution is the answer or a
No, it's
solution?
like, think of column C as like the answer key that Logan had pre-populated already.
Yeah, so I guess answer
I
key.
see.
Answer key would
Okay,
probably be a
got
better
it.
name there.
Because it was the same numbers, but okay, answer, okay.
And if you're bothered at
Thank you.
all by the fact that this doesn't quite match, all that I did was just I used this button, which just formats the cell. Doesn't change the value in it, it just formats it differently. But yeah, so there you go. Answers match. So
And that was, I'm sorry, go back, because your screen is very tiny.
oh,
So
yeah,
it's
sorry.
the dollar sign?
Yeah, so there's just different ways that you can format things. So for example, like if I want this to like have more or less decimals, I can use
Yeah.
that. If I want this to be percentage, I can use that. In this
Mhm.
case, I want it to be, it's a dollar value. So
Right,
to reflect that, I will press on this and I'll basically convert it to a currency format.
okay, thank you.
So that's just kind of what all these buttons up here are doing. But yeah, all right. So next up, let's say that we want to now determine kind of what the most popular items are in this table. First, we're going to start by looking at the categories. There's a couple things you could do. I've already auto-populated all the different categories here, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you are worried that I did it manually, have no fear. I did not. Don't be too annoyed by this. I did put this as a function just because I found it was easier. Like rather than going back and forth and just seeing what all the unique ones were, there actually is a function that we just said, like it's just called unique, and it'll just spit out all the unique values just once from the data that you're pulling. So I actually did that for the products as well. That one we're not going to formally go over. Just going to throw that out there as a really nice and easy thing as well to have in your back pocket. But anyways, so we have our different categories all here. We have bars, crackers, cookies, and snacks. And we want to find the number of orders for each of those categories. Can anybody tell me what high level, like don't even try to think about what the right function would be. Just think about what is number of orders equivalent to? If we go back to this table.
Hmm. Well, it's gonna be quantity.
The quantity is actually just going to be like how much is in the order.
Oh, I see.
But in this data table, what's actually happening is that each of these rows is representing an order. And so if we wanted to count how many orders there are for each product, that's going to be the same thing as just trying to count the number of rows of each product. And again, this is the big thing in Excel, where like honestly, sometimes the hardest part is just rethinking
I see, yeah.
the problem. And so in this case, if we just want to find the number of rows, there's a function called countif.
Count if.
And so essentially, it's kind of what it sounds like. There's a function that's called count, where I'll just count how many values there are. But we want to count if, because we want to do more than that. We want to count each row if it meets a certain condition. In this case, we want to count a row if the category is bar. And so I'll show that to you because that might be a little hard to understand at first. So if you look here, the functions, the arguments it's taking is range and criterion, aka what data are we counting and what is that if? You know, like what we want to count it if what. So in this case, count if is going to be on this row category, and the if is going to be
Bars.
bars. And so just to, again, prevent any typing that we have to do, you can just actually just click on it right there. And now it's going to count the categories column. It's going to count each row that's equal to bars. So we'll close that. And you should get something like this. So real quick, does that conceptually make sense what this function is doing?
Yes.
Okay, great. Max, do you remember from last time what we can do with a click of our button that will then solve the next three boxes?
No.
That's okay. So rather than having to basically
Here,
retype,
let me take a stab at it.
okay,
It
go
would
for
be
it.
the same function, equals count if, and then you're gonna go down to that list, and you're gonna have if bars, if crackers, cookies, snacks.
So that's correct. That's what's going to happen. And yeah, all we have to do is actually just click on this little square down here, so that our arrow kind of turns into, so our cursor turns into this little like
Mm-hmm.
thing. And when you drag it, and if you click into it, it has now automatically done that, where it just has now switched out.
But
What
how did you know what it was, that it was crackers, cookies, and snacks?
So that's the thing, because of this one, it kind of, from this function, it was looking at the function, it was looking at the box right next to it to count.
Okay, the
And
category.
then when you dragged it, what ended up happening was this A10, Excel just kind of learned, assumed correctly in this case, that you want the function to correspond to the box next to it. And so it
Ah.
automatically counted up from A10.
I see.
And so in this case, it's now it does A11, it did A11, it substituted, it went up with this one with A12, A13. And so you didn't even have to like re-enter in anything. All you had to do was just drag, and Sheets and Excel just kind of automatically.
I'm sorry, but I don't see you dragging.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I already did that. So let me do it again. If we just, the problem is you can't really see the dragging
Okay.
when I share my screen, but you should see it kind of highlighted when you
Mm-hmm.
do the dragging motion. And then it will just automatically generate those numbers.
Okay.
And then Logan, just quick note, you have 3 minutes left.
Oh,
Okay.
man. You can't add any more?
No. So,
Okay, well, this is gonna have to be continued.
okay, well, that's fine, Sonia. Basically, maybe just quickly show the ideas for the next one or something, and then maybe that could be homework, right? The green or something.
Yes. Okay. So in this case, the last one we had count if, where we just want to count the rows if they met certain condition. This one might actually be a little bit more intuitive. It's going to be using something called sum if, or rather than just counting the rows, we want to sum up the value every time that a certain condition is met. The problem is this one's a little bit more complicated because there's like 3 different arguments. But essentially you have your range. Like in this case, we're looking at products. So we're going to select products. We have our criterion, which is our like our if. So similar to like the count if, it's going to be, you know, this product. The big difference is, and now what it now asks for a sum range. Essentially, this is what we're checking to see if it equals, in this case, caret. But what do you want summed if it is caret? In this case, what we want summed is quantity. And so we then select this row as well. I recognize this is very fast, so I apologize. But essentially what that gives you is it automatically goes through and it just sums up every order there was of carets, looks at how many was in that order, and adds it all to a sum, and it gives you this value. And then you can do that for the rest of them in a very similar way that we did up here. And then what I was going to show, and maybe we'll in the future, or maybe you can just do it on your own, is how you can then kind of use that to, I guess, get even more information. The problem is this, there's one more function that I wanted to include that is the most complicated of all of them. And I do not want to just give it to you and have you stress out about how to use it. Keith and Hillary might know it, it's called VLOOKUP. But
Yeah, maybe we
Aside-
do that next time, because I feel like VLOOKUP is a great, useful tool.
yeah, I think that's honestly the one, that is the tool. I use Excel in my job, and that is the tool I use the most in Excel, I would say. But yeah, so don't stress too much about that. If you can, see if you can figure out this one though, and see if you can do it for all of them. And if you want to check your answers, you can just, again,